Glad that you're here with us today. My name's Doug Wilkerson with Central Christian Center and Saturday Night Live Life Recovery Ministry. I just want to say thanks for tuning in. You know, my desire is to just add some value in your life. I just want to try to help you to have a better life, a more joyous life, that hopefully maybe you can have some peace, have some grace, maybe some forgiveness towards yourself and forgiveness towards other. And if you have that, then you'll be able to have that grace and peace. So thank you for tuning in, whether you're here with me in live, and hopefully I've got sound. Yes, hello, yeah, or I see sound now, thank you. And last week I didn't have sound and had a wedding that I had to do, and so I was in a tight time span, so I just shut it down and went on. And so anyway, and with all the extra chaos we've had this past week with the deep freeze, and we got water issues here at the church. In fact, we got people upstairs working on church that may interrupt me here in a moment because there are people from the water company trying to thaw out our meter. So anyway, they're working on that. And anyway, I just want to welcome you to a encouraging word from Doug. And today's title is like the last one that I had. This is part two, and that is how to accept yourself, your life, and your reality, part 2. You'll never be able to change and have the right reality if you're not willing to let go of the wrong reality. People like to hold on to stuff. They like to they get focused, and then they lock down and they don't let go. I'm just going to touch on some of the things I touched in the last video just real quickly, and to kind of set it up. I felt like I was way rushed last time, and I just want to take some time. I'm not going to go in. I'm just going to begin. Thanks for being here. Today we're going to be talking about reality. And I think reality is such an important subject because a lot of us try to escape reality. And yes, that is part of our life coping mechanism. It's a survival skill to be able to survive. But the trouble is we go into it, we get trapped in it, and we get stuck in being out of reality, escaping reality, suspending reality, however you want to say it. And so I want to say that this is so important, and it made such a big difference in my life when I realized I had to embrace my reality. Doesn't mean you like it. You just have to learn to tolerate your reality the way it is, not like it, but you accept it so that you're able to affect it, impact it. But you can't change something that you're unwilling to accept. So you have to accept it so you can be able to affect it, or actually, most of us would say try to change it. And so you have to accept it, and that's the way things are. But but you don't have to like it. Now, some people really get hung up on that because you think you have to like it to accept. No, you have to accept it. You don't have to like it so that you're able to change it. So the first step is that you have to become aware. It means you need to know that you need to see what's going on. Oftentimes we don't even want to see. But if you're unwilling to see, then you can't do anything. So the first step is become aware. That's the first step to all recovery. All right? And we're in life, and we all need recovery from life, okay? So the first step is that we become aware. Second is we accept it. And the third, we deal with it. All right? We work towards a solution. So, And now if you do, you get to step 3 and you are dealing with it, then you're in reality. And actually, when you get to reality, things can get really tough there, because now you see things that you were unwilling to see before, that other people saw about you and your life and what's going on, but you didn't see it, and it can get overwhelming. There's a part of me that want to say I'm sorry about that, but the fact of it is, you can't get better if you're not aware. And so when you become aware, then you accept it, begin to deal with it. Yes, it can be overwhelming, but then you're on the path to recovery or to healing or restoration, to get better in your life. Viktor Frankl said this, and he was a prisoner. He was a psychologist in the Auschwitz, a Second World War Germany death camp. Okay, and he learned how to survive in the death camp through all the trials that he went through, and that was just one of them. I think he was in 4 or 5, maybe more. I'm not sure. But Viktor L. Frankl said this. He said, "When you are no longer able to change a situation, you are challenged to change yourself." So when we're in a tough situation, we can't change it. We have to change ourselves. We humans are adaptable. That's how we have survived. And God has given us a brain so that we can figure it out and listen to the leading, His direction, and be able to survive to this place that we're in right now. We can adapt. William James, another quote here, and he was the father of American psychology. He said this. He said, acceptance of what has happened is the first step to overcoming the consequences of any misfortune. Now that's good there. So what he's saying here is we have to accept it, and when we accept what has happened, okay, right, we accept what's happened, whatever it is, we accept it, and that's the first step to overcoming the consequences of whatever it is, okay, all right, and of any misfortune, he said. That's good. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about the Serenity Prayer. Many of you are familiar with it. This is just part of it, and this is what I call a real reality guidance system here. And it's, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Okay? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Sounds kind of like Viktor Frankl's statement here. And the courage to change the things I can. Okay, that sounds like William James, some of his statement. And the wisdom to know the difference. Okay? The wisdom to know the difference. You know, oftentimes we have loved ones that die and we get upset. We don't want to accept it. We don't want to accept that they're dead. And then even if there's a part of our brain that recognizes that it's true that they are dead, there's that other part of us, that other part of your brain or your emotions that don't want to accept it. And oftentimes we live in that place that we say that, well, I'm just going to be mad and not accept the way that it is. Somehow we think that if we do that, that forces it not to be. The only thing of it is you're not accepting reality. And even if you accept reality, that doesn't mean that you get to feeling better all of a sudden. I've lived through some of that, and that is tough stuff. But if you're denying reality, it only makes it worse and lasts longer. Okay? Today, I'm talking again about how to accept yourself, your life, and reality. Okay? And accepting reality of your life, the realities of your life sounds easy, but for many, many people, it is so hard, and we select a version of reality that we want, or maybe we don't even want it, but it diverts us from where we don't want to go. You know what I mean? And it may be based on regret, disappointment, denial. We're wanting things to get better, so we just suspend reality. You know, I tell people all the time, you have to play the cards that are dealt you in life. You have to play them, and if you don't play them, you don't get any new cards until you play the cards that's been dealt. They don't change. You go ahead and you play them the best way that you can. You play them as wisely as you can, and then you get new ones. So you have to play with what's been dealt to you. And we've had some stuff dealt to us here in the last year and a half. Even here in the Midwest in Joplin, I mean, we had the coldest time I think they said we had in 30 years. Okay, overnight, 15 below. Now that's pretty cold. Some even said it was even a little cooler. It was cool. So we have to accept it, not just say, well, I'm going to wait until things change, or I'm going to wait till, well, Ecclesiastes says, if you wait for all conditions to be right, then you'll never sow. In other words, you'll never plant your fields. Okay. Sometimes you just have to figure out the best and do it. Okay. You know, do it reasonably, rationally, logically. Okay. Not impulsively, but you can't just not. You just can't really survive being checked out. Okay, that's what we're finding out now with people being disconnected from people. They can't handle it mentally and emotionally. But we're not going to go into that today, or we'll never get done. Okay, all right. So what we want to do is we make excuses, or we make plans. Well, I will soon as I retire, or the kids grow up, or there's a new situation, or whenever I can get this addiction webbed, or they get their addiction webbed, or something. We just postpone, put off, deny. Okay. So what we have to do is we need to step into this. There is no better thing you can do for yourself than to give yourself to let go of that fictional version that you live by. I've had people call me when they get into relationship conflicts that they start living off an old fantasy that they had before they were ever married or had that relationship, and try to rekindle some old emotions in themselves about something is not real. And then they may even go so far to try to re-engage that. Okay. And to try and to avoid dealing with reality. It's the human nature. It's the mentally, psychologically, we want to avoid pain and seek pleasure, and that is a survival skill. But the fact of it is, sometimes we get stuck in just that survival, because life is more than surviving. Okay, we have to go on. We have to learn to set some of those things on the side and not be stuck in those survival skills. Okay, yes, we have to survive, but if we stay there, then we're stuck in that place. Okay, we're not going to go any deeper than that. So we have to be willing to accept and learn and change. Okay. To be able to live in this reality. And even if the situation is terrible, you still have to deal with it. Okay. If you go ahead and deal with it, there's probably a greater likelihood to be able to get through it quicker. I've learned some of that myself personally. Okay. And you can postpone dealing with the situation, but oftentimes it just gets worse. Haven't you found that out to be so? In fact, I got some research many years ago about the most successful CEOs were 50%. 50% they were willing to go ahead and make a decision. All right. And making a decision began to navigate situations. Those that didn't make a decision, things got worse and they blew up. And when it blew up, the explosion, the eruption, dictated the change after that. Okay, so we have to engage. That's all I'm saying. We need to engage. That's in our best interest. Okay, so the first step to improving is to acknowledge what's going on. Okay, a doctor first has to diagnose before he prescribes. Okay, if he prescribes without knowing what's going on, he can make a very big error. It could cost somebody their life. All right, 11 ways to cope with reality. Okay, especially with the parts that you don't like, and how you can change it if into a reality that you do like or that you do want. I'm going to throw them up on the screen and maybe talk about them as I go through and see if I can do that from here. All right, I think we got it there. All right. Okay, so the first one is accept yourself. Now this is big. This is important. Many years ago, I used to have a saying that a emotionally healthy individual is one that's able to give and receive love. That's what makes an emotionally healthy individual. Okay, accepting yourself, or acceptance is love. So loving yourself. Acceptance is the ability to unconditionally value all parts of yourself. Value all parts of yourself. Okay, that means that you acknowledge all those parts that are good, or maybe need some improvement. Other parts that need some improvement, or what we might say bad. So good parts and bad parts. You accept all of them because that's all of you. All right. That's all of you. You have to accept them. You don't have to like all of them, but you do have to accept them to help yourself to be able to work on growing or changing. Okay? So, for most of us, self-acceptance can be hard. Self-acceptance can be hard. It's tough. But it's healthy. We tend to be critical of ourselves for those, but for the most part, we have to learn to accept ourselves and our lives. It's not being it's all being with it all has to do with your state of mind, your emotional state, your physical state, your spiritual state. It's your state that you're in. And that's in the state of how you're thinking or feeling. Okay. Matthew 22:39 says this, is to love thy neighbor as yourself. We need to love ourselves. If we hate ourselves, we are putting ourselves in a destructive mode or fear state, okay, because we're actually cursing ourselves when we should be loving ourselves, accepting ourselves. That's really very, very, very important. Very important. Okay. Number 2, and that is acknowledge your reality. Okay. acknowledge your reality. And this is kind of a growth step, and accepting the state of things, not the idea of the way you think it should be, but the way that it is. You accept it the way it is. Again, you accept the way that it is. You don't have to like it. You accept it so that you can do something about it, okay? Or like Viktor Frankl said, if you can't change what's going on, then you change yourself. And we're talking about changing. And when you change yourself, you affect everything around you because you're different. You don't believe that? Well, when the times that, let's say, the times that you know somebody that's gotten really, really angry, it's affected everything around them, right? And it just didn't make things better, generally speaking, right? So, acknowledge your reality. Sometimes facing reality isn't the easiest thing to do, but actually, your current situation can make you happier. But accepting your current situation can make you happier in the present and lead to a better future. That's the same thing that I've already said, but in a little different words. Understanding, accepting, and working with reality is both practical and purposeful. Accepting your reality will help you to choose your desires wisely, and then help you to achieve them. When we we need to have coherence. Coherence is that alignment. That we have that coherence. We need to have that mental, spiritual, physical, emotional alignment. And if you have those aspects all scattered out, you don't have a coherence. So we need to bring them in line, because sometimes we have mental, emotional wars in ourselves, and if we need to work on getting aligned. Okay, and number 3, we're going to talk about practical. Practicing radical honesty. I'm going to go back to full screen for a little while, and we'll go back to that. And because this, I don't know, this is a really good number 3 here, practicing radical honesty. And it's kind of an action step, things that you need to work on, take action in. And the first part of this is don't lie to yourself. That's big. You know, we'll lie to others, we'll lie to ourselves, or how about we don't tell the truth, or we don't tell the truth to God, okay? Nietzsche said this. He said, truth serves life. Truth serves life. We have to have we have to have truth, because if we don't have truth, then we have lies. And which one do you want to build your life on? Which one's going to work out best for you? Okay, truth. That's right, truth. So when you can admit your own pretense or lies, falsehoods, okay, not being real, not being honest, okay, you can begin to create a new and powerful future just by recognizing I didn't tell the truth there. I wasn't totally truthful. Went sideways, a little bit of pretense. Okay, you can begin to build a better future by radical honesty. Because see, you poison your own soul when you distort. Or here's this word, dissemble, lie. How about that? Denying your current reality, especially if it's a bad one, will not make it go away. Okay? It will make it go away. Dealing with the bad stuff is a good way to create good stuff in your life. But but the way that you do that is you have to deal with the bad stuff and create the good stuff. But then you have to take it and you have to practice. Okay, practice speaking the truth. Practice being honest. Okay, John 8:32 says this. He says, "And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you or set you free." You know, Abraham Lincoln said this. At least that's where I traced it back to. I'd heard it before, and anyway, and that is this. Speaking about telling the truth, he says, "You can fool all of the people some of the times, and you can fool some of the people some of the times, but you can't fool all the people all the time. You just can't fool all the people all the time." And besides that, in other words, that means you're going to get tripped up. It's not going to work out well for you. The best thing is honesty, truth, okay? And it will do your heart good. Okay, number 4. We'll show it again in a little bit, but identify your part you play. Okay, we need to recognize the part that we play in every situation in our life. Okay, and this is recognizing reality. We're trying to grab a hold of reality, but recognize our part, the good parts again, and the bad parts. The place that we succeed in, those things that we maybe have failed, and so we need to recognize both of them. They're both important. Okay, a lot of times all we want to do is recognize the bad. Oftentimes, but we need to know the good and the bad, okay? And because that's to know that, and then you know how you got where you are, okay? Yes, ask yourself the questions related to your current situation to help you to be able to work into a solution. To fully accept reality, it is important to identify the part that you played in it or the part that you fostered, so that you know the successes, how you got there, or those failures. Okay, once you know this, and you can go ahead and you can deal with it, and you can work on it, and figure out what the next best step or healthiest step for you to take. And that's all. We're just trying to grow in wisdom. All right. And that's what this step here is all about. Knowing where you are, so you know where you need to go. All right. If you know where you are, at least you know, well, this is where I've came, so I don't need to do that again. Oftentimes we just circle. And there's part of it, some of us think, well, I'm working hard, so that's all that matters. It's not about just working hard. You got to be working smart. Okay. All right. So sometimes, these things that we find out where it is, and our mistakes can be our best teachers. They can be our best friends if we'll listen to them, if we'll learn from them, and then they can help us to know where we need to go. And sometimes we don't know what to do. Okay, I grant you that sometimes we don't know what to do, but most of the time we know what not to do. So don't do that. Okay, and if you don't do that, that'll take a lot of things off the table, and then that doesn't guarantee that your choice there will be happy, but you're at least not repeating the negative steps or the destructive steps of the past. And if they work out, great. If they don't work out, then well, that doesn't work. many times I've had days that were just loaded up with mistakes, and instead of getting depressed, I said, well, I know that won't work. Okay, let's go to the next one. There's a solution out there. And the rest of that statement is there are multiple solutions out there. All I have to do is just figure out one. Okay. And if I can stop sabotaging myself, I will be in a better position to see what's good for me to do, a healthier step, a right decision. Okay. I know I'm going a little long. I think I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to come back to this next week. So let's see what this next one is. Okay. All right. This next one is number 5. It says, admit your mistakes. Well, some of these kind of are really close, but I think it's good to go ahead and set this nail also. Okay. And that is that we need to remember that you can't fix anything until you admit that it's a problem. If you don't recognize it's a problem, you can't fix it. Okay. If you're not aware of it, then you can't deal with it. Right. So yes, try to view your mistakes not as a failure, but as a learning opportunity, and have the strength within to realize you're in control. You're in control. You're in control of your reality, and you are the only one that can change it. You can deal with it. You affect what's going on. You affect it in a negative. Okay. If you can drive it into the ground, you can drive it above the ground, in between the white lines, keep it in, on the road. Okay. You create your reality, and you're the only one that can change it. Decide what's important. This is so important here. Decide what's important to you. Okay, what is it you want? Okay, what is it you really, really, really want? What's in your best interest? What is that's healthy for you? Okay, and if we can get focused on that, that begins. I mean, we may have been whipped all around, but just like if you're flying a plane, if you know what your target is, even if you get pushed off target, you can readjust, recalibrate, because you know where you want to go. And that's what we're talking about, reality. Accepting reality so that you can clear things up, so that you can choose to be in this reality and deal with it. You don't have to like it, but you can't impact it until you accept it. Okay. So I think we're going to stop right there. We're on number 5, and I'll mark it so that I hopefully won't forget. So I just want to say, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may his face shine upon you and give you his peace. Reflect on some of the things we talked about today, and hey, I don't know everything, and if something didn't set right with you, well, set it on the shelf and see if maybe through some processing time, maybe to clear up. Maybe it won't. Okay, but I just want the best for you. I want you to be better, and if I can help to encourage that, communicate some truth to that, and I believe that I have, because these things have helped me. If they've helped me, I figured they'll help other people. So may the Lord bless you and keep you, and see you next week. Hopefully, yes, yeah, we'll plan on that. So have a good day.